Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to totally reframe how you look at your bank account. I want you to stop picturing your money as just something you spend and start seeing it as an employee. And not just any employee, an employee that never sleeps, never takes a single vacation, and just grinds for you around the clock. Over the course of This Explainer, we're going on a little journey. We're going to trace the path from how we actually unknowingly lose wealth every single day to the definitive, proven ways to multiply it. If you've ever wondered how long-term wealth is actually built behind the scenes, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You know that feeling when you walk into a store, grab your absolute favorite bag of chips, and realize as you open it that it looks kind of half-eaten? And then, to make matters worse, you check the receipt and realize you just paid 30% more for it than you did 6 months ago. It is incredibly frustrating, right? Well, that is the immediate, visceral feeling of your money slowly becoming less valuable. It's something we experience all the time. But understanding the actual mechanics behind it, that's the absolutely vital first step to protecting your wealth.
Which brings us to Section 1, the silent wealth killer.
See, there's this invisible force constantly at work, just quietly stealing your purchasing power while you go about your daily life. It's not something you're going to see on a bank statement as a negative charge, which is honestly exactly why it's so dangerous. That invisible force is inflation. Basically, it's what happens when money slowly gets less valuable over time. It doesn't happen overnight, it doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It's just a slow, steady erosion. It's the result of all these complex economic gears turning. Maybe there's too much cash in the system chasing the same goods, or supply chain hiccups make producing things more expensive. But the end result for us is exactly the same. Our money loses its muscle.
Think about a $5 bill. A $5 bill today is technically still a $5 bill tomorrow, right? The physical piece of paper doesn't change. But practically speaking, it buys fewer instant noodles, it buys less gas. It simply doesn't hold as much actual economic value as it did before. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem. If you just leave your money sitting in a shoebox under your bed or in a checking account paying 0 interest, inflation literally guarantees that you are getting poorer every single day.
Section 2, the compound interest cheat code. So how do we fight back? Well, we have to shift from playing defense against inflation to playing offense. We need a weapon. And honestly, this is where things get genuinely exciting. Think about it like this. Interest is money's way of charging rent to exist in someone else's hands. When you borrow money, interest is the painful price tag for using someone else's cash. But when you are the one saving and investing, interest completely flips. It becomes your reward for being patient. It goes from being your worst enemy to your best unpaid employee. The whole secret to wealth is making sure you are the one collecting that rent.
But, and this is a big but, not all interest is created equal. There are 2 main types, and the difference between them changes absolutely everything. Simple interest is pretty straightforward. It's a flat fee. You lend out some money, you get a little fee back. Thanks for playing. But compound interest, oh man, that is an entirely different beast. With compound interest, every dollar you earn in interest essentially becomes a little clone of itself. And those little clones, they go out into the world and demand their own rent. Your interest starts aggressively earning its own interest.
Let's look at a magic number here, 7%. If you can invest your money at a 7% annual compound interest rate, you have officially unlocked the cheat code. This is the exact threshold where the math stops feeling linear and starts feeling exponential. This is where your money just starts rapidly duplicating itself.
Picture this. You start with $100. Over time, thanks to that compounding cheat code, that $100 duplicates to $200. Give it a little more time, and that $200 becomes $400. It's kind of like a time bomb, but in the best way possible. It's a time bomb that turns small, consistent gains into massive, massive wins. You literally just let this process run quietly in the background of your life, and one day you wake up older, financially secure, and probably feeling a little smug about it for sure.
Section 3, putting your money to work.
Now, compound interest needs fuel. It doesn't just happen by magic. You actually have to take deliberate action. We have to feed that compound interest engine, and the way we do that is through investing. Investing is simply trading your money for more money, instead of trading your time for money. Now, I know people get scared of investing because, yeah, markets go up and markets go down, there's risk, but you really have to realize that the real danger isn't losing some money in a temporary market dip. The absolute 100% guaranteed danger is never investing at all and just watching inflation quietly steal your future value. So, how do you actually do it? Well, you've got options. You can buy stocks, which are just tiny ownership slices of companies. You can buy bonds, which is basically loaning your money to a government or a company in exchange for interest. You could buy funds, which are these really convenient collections of stocks and bonds, so you don't even have to pick individual winners. Or real estate, property that someone else pays to live in. So the crucial point here is don't get bogged down in overcomplicating the whole shebang. You really just need to pick a vehicle and get started. Because look, investing isn't about being lucky, it's about being early, diversified, and patient. If you look around at most wealthy people, they rarely hit a crazy jackpot. They didn't just win the lottery. What did they do? They just bought basic investments and gave compound growth 30 solid years to do its thing. They literally let the math do the heavy lifting for them.
Section 4. The ultimate asset. Time.
This leads us perfectly to the single biggest variable in the entire wealth-building equation. It's not your knack for picking stocks. Actually, scratch that. It isn't even your income. It is the ultimate asset. Time. Please burn this concept into your memory. Wealth isn't built in days, it's built in decades. Time is literally the most valuable asset in the world, and the best part is, almost all of us start with a whole lot of it. Nowhere does time work harder than in investing. It's a much greater force than luck, and honestly, it's a significantly greater force than your starting paycheck. There's this really stark contrast in how we approach building wealth. Most of us work jobs where time is traded directly for money, right? 1 hour equals 1 paycheck. It's simple math, but it has a super hard ceiling because there are only so many hours in a day. The top earners, though, they do something completely different. They leverage their time. They train their hours to work for them by putting their cash into investments. Money that sits quietly in an investment doesn't just grow, it multiplies. It happens pretty slowly at first, but then, because of those little interest clones demanding rent, it accelerates incredibly fast. And that brings us to this amazing reality. Ordinary people with modest paychecks can retire with 7 figures. They didn't beat the system, they used the system. You do not need a massive salary to become wealthy. You just need to understand that a little bit of money invested consistently and given enough time turns into an absolute mountain of wealth. This is the system, and it's just sitting right there waiting for you to plug into it.
So, we've seen how inflation eats your cash, how compound interest creates those awesome little wealth clones, and how time is the ultimate fuel that powers the whole engine. Your money is ready to stop sitting on the sidelines and start acting like your very best employee. Your money is ready to multiply. So the only question left to ask yourself is, are you ready to give it time? Thank you so much for watching this explainer, and I really hope you start making your money work for you today. Catch you next time.